Like I said last night, we're going to talk about a race car that probably shouldn't have been allowed to be on the track. Well, the name of this car, they called it the Jurassic Park The Ride T-Rex race car from Jeff Gordon in the 1997 Winston All-Star race, back when it was still the Winston Cup Series. In a minute, I'll tell you the real year. I keep saying this is 97, but hang on a second. Yeah, we're going to talk about all the Gordon boys. Yep, we're going to talk about Jeff. All right. Besides all the controversial race cars, we're going to talk about Mr. Jeff Gordon. Like I said, this car right here was so controversial. The red DuPont number 24 96 All-Star paint scheme for the All-Star at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in 96 for Jeff Gordon. NASCAR, back then, you could change engines in a race car. Well, NASCAR had a way of cheating. Well, for 74 years, they've always had a way to kind of cheat a little bit. What I mean by cheating is they can tweak things that you know the other teams don't know about, but NASCAR finally finds a way out about it. So, this car here, the number 24 DuPont Jurassic Park The Ride race car, Monte Carlo, had some controversial issues. Back in the Winston in 1997, Jeff Gordon, after each segment of the Winston, this car was literally dominating every segment of the Winston. NASCAR figured out what was going on after the Winston was over with. They contacted Ray Evernham, who was the then crew chief for the 24 team. They contacted the 24 team at Charlotte. Well, they had told Gordon and his crew, this engine is not racing in the Coke 600 of that year. Well, it didn't race. The car raced in the 600, but the motor did not. Because they found out that they could get away with about an inch or two. I can't remember what they got away with, but they got away with something in 1997 at the Winston All-Star. So after the Coke 600. See, back in that time, the Coke 600, you ran the All-Star 2 weeks prior before the Coke 600. So, teams could get their All-Star car, get it ready. Well, Gordon used this car in the Coke 600 as well. So they tore it down, took the motor apart, and found out it had an extended, it had a rocker on, it had an extra line where it could hold an extra gallon of gas, which that's why you didn't see Gordon pit on pit road that much. Nobody figured that out, that he didn't have to pit much. So NASCAR made him go back to the shop after he won the Winston in 1997, and basically go to Charlotte, change out the motor, put a bunch of new parts in it, and then have an engine in this car that he could run back and have to make pit stops when it was needed. So he didn't have an extra line. Well, they docked Jeff Gordon. I mean, the Winston wasn't any points or nothing, but they docked Jeff Gordon and his team. They docked a few points. Well, they couldn't because it was the All-Star race. So basically, Jeff Gordon got away with what would have been major point violation. So that car was the most controversial car, I believe, in the Jeff Gordon fleet. So whenever you see this car, oh, and by the way, the race car was also named Butthead, because back then they used to name chassis and race cars. The reason this car was called Butthead was because because like I said, it dominated the 20 lap segment, the 15 lap segment, and the 10 lap segment. It dominated the whole freaking thing. Everybody said on the radio, "Well, we're tired of that. We're tired of that. We're tired of that. We're tired of that old Butthead leading. Why don't we just?" And then Ray and Rick just said, "All right, we'll just keep the namesake and call it Butthead." So that's the car, and that's how Butthead stuck. All right, so then I know y'all are in awe of me saying this, that Jeff Gordon drove a Ford Thunderbird for Bill Davis in 1992, which honestly I am as shocked as y'all are. Jeff Gordon had two sponsors back in 91 and 92, and it was the number one Baby Ruth and Carolina Ford Dealers Ford for Bill Davis. This car raced in Atlanta. I believe Jeff Gordon went on to win this race. Well, that following weekend, after the 92 season, or during the 93 season, this is when the DuPont colors became to be. The 24 DuPont Chevy Lumina. And when I mean Rookie of the Year race car, I'm talking about that is a rookie stripe on the back of this thing. Y'all can see that there. That is a rookie stripe on the back of the 24 car. Don't mean Jeff Gordon wasn't no rookie. I tell you, the man could drive a race car ever since he was about 2 years old. That's pretty much talent. So, there is Jeff Gordon's Rookie of the Year car, 1993, for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. I miss all the contingency sponsors. I wish they'd bring them all back. Honestly, it just drives me nuts how they don't. Then we go to 1990. I believe this is 90. No, 94. They just run the aluminum. Then we go to 95. The 24 DuPont Chevy Monte Carlo. We go to 1995 when they switched over from aluminum over to Monte Carlo. After the 94 season, this right here is the 24 DuPont Rainbow Warriors paint scheme for Jeff Gordon that he had from 93 all the way up to 2000. This car, let me see, what did it run in? It ran, I can't remember the races it run in. I've seen it before, but anyway, I don't remember. This is a 24 DuPont Chevy Aluminum for Hendrick Motorsports. DuPont Chevrolet Monte Carlo. For 1995, not 94. Then, the most recognized scheme in 99 for Jeff Gordon. Chevrolet DuPont Monte Carlo. Now, on the roof here, you see the 24 in red. What that exactly means is Jeff Gordon had been eligible for the Winston No Bull Million. The Winston No Bull is given to a fan and a driver. The fan that Winston used to pick out and give Jeff Gordon, because I guess the previous year, basically it was like the IROC series. It was 4 races. It was the 2 Daytona. It was basically the 2 Daytona races, and the 2 Talladega races. So it was only the restrictor plate tracks that the Winston No Bull was effective then. You had 5 drivers who were able to get the Winston Million, and that year was Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, there was one other driver. And I honestly can't remember. Oh, I'm sorry. Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, and Dale Earnhardt, who were eligible for the Winston Million No Bull. And that's No Bull. Now, for a Daytona car, like I said, this is a 99 Daytona 500 car. You see how the nose is taped up. Well, they had to tape the nose down so there wouldn't be so much air going into the race car, so the air of the car could run over it smoothly. And that is why the air that's called the front roof or the front valence is why that there's so much pressure in NASCAR that now up here on the front of the car where the windshield is, the Lexan windshield, is right up here on the windshield. There's something called a cowl. It's right here where my finger is. That lets air, that cools the radiator and lets air get over the car and then flows freely throughout the race car to make the car to be so low. That's why these cars are so low to the ground, is so the air can flow right off of them. So then as I showed y'all before, this is a COT, which could, yeah, you can basically tell what it is. It is the DuPont 2008 Nicorette DuPont Monte Carlo or Impala SS. The COT car basically had a wing on the back of it. And I understand that NASCAR wanted to make the gray area in the car much safer, but I hated the wing. Every driver didn't like. They said this thing was like, when they raced this at Bristol, drivers said this thing was literally driving a tank through the Mojave Desert. I mean, this thing could not. It when I say sucked air, I'm talking about the front was so weighed down that if you put air in it, that's why you had to run the tires to low pressure until they got heat in the tires. So they run these tires at low air pressure on this particular car and the COT car because of the fact that it had to be so low when it started off. I honestly did not like this particular car. I mean, yeah, NASCAR at least tried to make it more safer. But if you go back to one of the videos that I had probably shared it, but it's back in 2009, and it's Michael McDowell when he drove the. Can't remember the number. When he drove the Aaron's Dream Machine, I think it's the 00 car then. When he drove the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota, he was in a qualifying crash. This thing flipped through the air and landed back down. I mean, landed on all four tires, and he got out of the car and walked away. Talk about impressive. Well, this car right here, this was run at 2008 in Las Vegas, where Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth got together. They were coming down to lead it, coming down for the lead. Jeff Gordon came down on Matt Kenseth. The car snapped loose. Gordon hit one of the corner parts of the wall at Las Vegas and slammed into it, and basically the engine left the race car. I mean, that's how hard the impact was. I mean, it broke this part right here, literally snapped apart. I wished I had that car so I could show y'all how much damage this car suffered. I mean, this car literally hit radiator head on into the wall. Clipped that corner. Oh, damn. Clipped that corner of the corner part of the wall at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And the crash looked horrible. And it looked painful. I thought Jeff Gordon was going to be in pain for what he was. But I think he raced the next weekend. That's how strong these cars were. I mean, they may not be the most attractive, thing out there, but good Lord, they sure save lives. And as far as I know, NASCAR's not had a fatality since 2001. So, props to NASCAR for finally getting the safety right on these bad boys. Anyway, y'all, that's NASCAR Dirt Boys for you. Excuse me, crap. That's Dirt Track Boys here for you, giving you some more rundown on the Jeff Gordon controversial race car. And I hope to see y'all at a racetrack. Peace out and chicken grease, and I love y'all.